So let's have a look at how we determine the IP subnets. Okay, so we're going to take an example here. So the first example we'll take is if we have this address with this subnet mask, let's calculate the first, second, third and fourth subnet. Okay, so here's our address, and then here is our subnet mask. So subnet mask is 255, 255, 255, 240, which is 4 ones and 4 zeros. So now what we have to do is determine where the subnets will actually go. So as this is a class A address, the normal part for the network part is this part. Okay, the first 8 bits. So we're now going to extend that network part defined by the subnet mask. You can see here that we're now extending it out to here. Okay, so our first subnet will actually occur here. So if we go for all zeros, and we won't use the 0 address because that's the network address, and we can go for a 01 in here. Now we can go for a 02. And so on. So this would give us our first 4 subnets. So let's see what these would look like. So the first one here will be 53 dot, and we've got all zeros here, this part, so that'll be 0. Next part is all zeros, and in the last part we have 4 ones here, no 1 and 0, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 is our first subnet, of which we can have here, we can have 16 different hosts, but we often use the 0 and the all ones, a special reserve, so we could have 14 hosts on that subnetwork. The next one is going to be all zeros here, and then a 1 and a 0, so that looks like it's 32. The next one is going to be a 32 plus a 16, so that's 48. And then the next one, we're going to have 16, 32, 64. 64 here. So our first 4 subnets are 53.0.0.16. Next one is .32. Next one .48. Next one .64. So let's check that. There we go. So there is the calculations that we made. Remember, this part is our network address for class A. There's that there. Okay, so if you want to see all the subnets, that's what they look like. So let's take another example. Okay, so this time we have 147. 147 dot 58 dot 109 and then dot 232. And then the subnet mask in this case is this. And 192 is a 128 and a 64, so we get that. So now when we look at this, we can see this is a class B, so all these bits here are the normal address, and then the next bits will form the subnet network address. So you can see the first one will appear with all zeros and then a 0 and a 1 here. So if we look down here, there's what we get. So there is the first network, there is the second network, there is the third network, and now we run over for our fourth network into this next field. Okay, so if we do our calculation, this part will stay because it's the class B address, and then the next bits will fill. Okay, so we have a 0 here, and then a 64, 128, 129, and then 1.0 is our fourth subnet. Okay, so this is a list of all the networks that we can actually have, subnetworks.